Hello everyone, welcome to the Tech Podcast series. This is Lakshit Pan from Azure Developer Community. We are back here again with another episode of the Tech Podcast series, and for today we have our industry leader, Mr. Anshuman Das, co-founder and CEO of Careernet. It's going to be real fun for you because today we are going to speak about career, how it's going, how's that, because there have been lots of buzz around. There are the jobs, sessions, whatnot, right? So we'll speak about a couple of aspects of industry. What are the opportunities that are out there in the industry? How's been Anshuman's journey around the building his venture. So we'll talk a couple of things just to quick start this podcast. I would request Anshuman sir if you could quickly introduce yourself first.
Sure. Thank you. So, myself, Anshuman, I started the company Careernet way back in '99, and that was a time when entrepreneurship and unemployment were synonymous. But a quick background, I did my bachelor's from IIT Delhi in 1998 and worked with Infosys for about a year and a half before starting out. And I had my other co-founder, Rishi. He did his bachelor's from IIT Roorkee, and he passed out in 1997. We both were brothers. So that's how we started out our first venture in Bangalore as Careernet. And it's been a
Wow.
25
So
year. Yeah.
what has been the thought behind founding a, obviously there is always a opportunity to explore new realms of the technology, right? But why especially this particular sector, right, would gap that you are trying to solve at the moment, and how the initial idea is relevant to the current at present.
So look, the time when we started out, it was more driven by our interest areas and passion than by the problem statement we were trying to solve for. And I think we essentially, between me and Rishi, we both were driven a lot by doing something which was a real business problem, which was more people driven kind of a problem, because we were quite active in our education time in terms of building social networks and so solving people problem. And that's what we thought that will be an interesting idea to pursue from an entrepreneurship point of view. And as we got into the space, we started realizing that there's a massive opportunity for people from technology background getting into the HR space and solving that problem, because we were as an outsider in that industry and we didn't come from an HR background. And that's where we kind of also started realizing that there's a significant use of technology which we can bring in our in solving the problem. And that led to the journey of another venture within Careernet called Hire Pro, and that's how the venture evolved out. And I would say as we moved forward, we started spotting a lot of the problems in our journey, and we kind of used a lot of the first principles to solve these problems, and that is how we have grown the company overall in an organic manner in the last 25 years.
Wow. And how is it relevant, do you see, like it at the moment, right? From a career perspective, from jobs perspective, what the initial thought which we have started with, I really think because it's a never ending process, right? Even once jobs, career is always an opportunity to explore. It's a very big market to tap in. But I just wanted to know the current situation, what has it's been.
Sure. So I think when we started out, it was a lot about connecting people with the jobs and essentially, or connecting jobs with the people. But I think as we started moving forward, the whole industry grew a lot, and we essentially were a lot in the tech talent space. And today, if I actually see, it is not just about connecting people; it is also discovering careers, discovering jobs, essentially. And a lot of people essentially, and today, because we were using technology to solve this problem, the technology also has evolved a lot today. For example, when today AI has come about, we can actually find that the job discovery and the career discovery can be done in a far more easier manner as we were trying to do earlier, where we were earlier trying to. So I would say the problem statement has remained the same, but I think the way we are trying to solve the problem has become far more sharper. As a result of that, our ability to go behind talent in a far more scalable manner is very much there. Today, earlier we were trying to focus on a very premium segment of the talent today, but today we can go in a far more broader manner. We can go for a lot on the feet on street. We can go into tier 3, tier 4 cities and solve those problems. So I would say India is a massive country to that degree, and I would say the unorganized unemployment, the unorganized employment in India is very big, and the organized employment is still very small. And in the last 25 years, we would say there is a significant shift which is happening from unorganized to organized industry. And as we move into organized industry, recruitment can be actually only delivered by using a technology solution which is now being there. So I would say the context of the problem has remained the same, but the manner in which we are solving is changing.
Again, and if we see from any listener standpoint, right, if you have to explain career net, like which industry specifically you tap in, right? So there are different aspects when you talk about jobs, career, like blue collar jobs, gray collar jobs, a lot more things, white collar jobs, right? What specific area are you catering at the moment? Because you mentioned about the tiers, right? Tier 3, tier 4 cities. So I just wanted to explore about the comprehensive suite of talent solution that you are offering at the moment.
Sure. So we are a team of about roughly about 2,000 folks spread across pan India. We are headquartered in Bangalore. We have offices across all the country. We essentially started a lot focusing on the tech sector when we started out. But today, if you see in India, there are a lot of industries which have become organized. So we essentially first deal into the organized industry. So we would not
Right.
get into the unorganized segment, which is the farm or the construction workers or those kind of things. We would mostly be dealing into the white collar segment or the upper white collar segment, or sometimes in the, I would say, upper gray collar segment, that kind of a thing. Industries like your software, technology, financial services, manufacturing, healthcare, a lot of these are sectors in which we are working. Broadly, if you see, I would classify the industry into two segments: one which are very export-oriented industries, and the other which are the domestic-oriented industries. So we are definitely quite strong as far as the export-oriented industries are concerned. As far as the domestic economy is concerned, we work with a lot of the, I would say, traditional financial services, healthcare, and all these sectors. Plus, there is a huge set of startups which have come about and which have essentially started redefining various sectors in India. And if you see in the last 10, 15 years, there's a every sector you pick up, whether you pick up education, whether you pick up financial services, whether you pick up healthcare. I think there's a huge amount of startups that come about. That has been also one of the big focus areas for us. So I would say today we cover length and breadth of the country across. Right, we have a campus hiring program where we actually work at the campus level. We have a CXO hiring program, which is a separate brand called Longhouse, where we work the CXOs. Then we have a mid-level hiring program, which is done in the Careernet. So I would say across the spectrum of talent, across the spectrum of the industries, and across, I would say, the length and breadth of India is what we cover today.
Wow, that's a huge canvas that you're covering. Now, because you are the subject matter expert, I just really wanted to know your views about this. What kind of hiring is happening at the moment in India, especially in India? I'm talking about. Like, is it skill based? Is it based on the mundane task? Like, what kind of specialty jobs do we have at the moment? And we'll speak about AI and whatnot later. But do you think is there any relevance of there is there are any job that are diminishing at the moment, or how is it happening? Because people are most of the region where we see, like if it is if we separate about the BTech part, right, there are more skill based enhancement and whatnot, right? So how is it happening in the industry at the moment?
Let me pick up the part one and part two later. So part one essentially is okay, what is currently happening in the industry. See, I think India, if you see, has a huge supply of talent pool today. As in,
Right.
you always talk about those hot skills and niche skills kind of a thing. I think it's only a matter of time that in a year or 2 year, any hot skill become a vanilla skill. So I would say India's ability to produce talent is phenomenal to that degree. And I think we have been, as a country, been able to control the price point very, very significantly to that degree. So I think what may seem very pricey today, within 3 years, India will solve that problem and it will become very cost effective to that degree. So I would say today there would not be a particular area which India is not doing. I think you talk about any area as far as any business services, technology services, professional services area is concerned, whether it is legal, technical, infrastructure. I think every area we cover today from India. And I would say that this whole COVID is a big, big boost for India because to that degree, India is now seen as the office for the world overall. As in, just to give you some data, as far as the virtual business services space is concerned, we as India, on a global GDP share, control 4% of the world GDP. But on the
Wow.
business services and professional services area, we control 13% of the world GDP to that degree. So that is the progress which India has essentially. So I would say it will be wrong to pick up one area and say that we are leaders in that space. It is across every area we are leaders in that space. Now, obviously, your question about AI is very relevant because what can be done remotely, virtually, can also AI has a lot of power to disrupt. So definitely there will be jobs and areas where AI will definitely disrupt in the next 1 or 2 years, especially some of the jobs in the call center or some of the things in the content writing, editing. Those are the areas where the AI will disrupt. But there is a huge amount of job which AI will make it viable also. For example, the whole language translation, you talk about the creating of movies or going about campaigns and essentially servicing customers or healthcare. A lot of these things were just not relevant to deliver. So I would say AI on one hand will disrupt a lot of jobs, and AI on the other hand will create a lot of those jobs also. So I would say net, I think the DNA of India in terms of ability to adapt, any new age skill is very high, and I would say that is the biggest positive point which we as India have, and the education base in India is very strong. So I would say that is the second big tick which is there, which I don't think there is any other country in the world which has this ability at this scale with English language speaking being there, kind of a thing. So I would say that will make us definitely far more relevant, and AI definitely is a threat and opportunity both, I would say.
I feel very positive about it because always there is always two sides of a coin, right? It's similar, right? You either you get something or you're not. That's very simple. And the execution based tasks are definitely going to be replaced. It will be more about creativity and whatnot, right? That's has to be there. Now, if we as we move ahead for this discussion, right? I just wanted to know from diversity, inclusion, and initiative perspective. You, what do you think? What kind of initiative from an organization perspective there are a couple of ways that organizations are trying out at the moment. So I'll give an example. So there is one X organization. They wanted to hire some folks, right? They want to hire some pals. They are trying out everything, every job portal, everything, right? LinkedIn, socials, their own career website, everything. But still, there is there. I often see there is a significant gap present there where they are not able to. There are thousands of applicants applying to it. Still, they are not able to find out the right candidate. So what's missing in that space is not something I'm really able to find out. What do you think? What's missing there? Is it the talent pool that's, or maybe it's not reaching the right audience, or what's happening exactly there?
So look, I don't think India has a issue about the availability. It is many a
Right.
times the issue is about the accessibility, and the volume is very high. So how do you have the right tools to screen and engage? And this is actually the place where AI becomes very useful, because I think when you today put out any job there, you will find bulk of applications coming in there, kind of a thing, because it's
Right.
not that we are still needing a lot many more jobs than the number of people which are there, but just manually sifting them, the whole process and everything is far more tedious. As a result of that, people say that, oh wow, I'm like really and not being able to find the right people, and they attribute to that. But provided if companies are having the right tools to go and do that, I think accessibility and engaging with people is not an issue. And definitely when you talk about diversity, I would say India has a reasonable, I would say, diverse talent pool overall. Matlab, as in, the only thing is ki the if you look at the female labor participation in India is obviously lower. We are only having 30% female participation, which is increasing today. So I would say and if you go back and see 15, 20 years back and look at the enrollment in our engineering colleges was reasonably, I would say, low as far as the female participation is concerned. But if you see in the recent trends, there is a significant upswing as far as the female participation in the engineering and MBA education is concerned overall. Even in the other streams of education is there. So I would say the supply pool is there. The good news is that I think what we need to do is to have the right tools to access it, right tools to engage with them. In fact, one of our companies, HirePro, which is our sister concern, essentially focuses a lot on hiring at scale, solving that problem in terms of if tomorrow you have got 5,000, 10,000 applicants coming in, how do you really like engage with them? How do you really assess them? How do you evaluate them? How can you hire talent at scale overall? So, and I would say companies which are using a lot of that are actually very successful in hiring. So there is definitely that shift which is happening. And moreover, what has happened because of this COVID, I think the whole hiring has become very virtual. So, and when the hiring has become totally virtual and remote, you can actually be able to give a very good candidate experience virtually also, which a
Right.
lot of these tools have got developed in the last 2 3 years. And I think some of those, if used very effectively, can actually deliver the hiring problem far more effectively.
Wow. Now, from our talent branding services, right? I just wanted to know, is there, what's, what it looks like to attract the top talent, and how, as a career net, you assist clients in effectively, branding themselves and as an employer of choice, right? How do you do it?
So we do have a solution where we actually help companies to build out the brands. We have a whole engagement platform called My Careernet, where companies can come engage with talent. Because what used to happen is, what we realized that in industry there are a lot of places where you can do a mailer blast and people will read about it, and whether you don't know what was the engagement and whether people were really interested or not. So what we essentially said that let's create an interactive platform where we can actually let companies come talk about their stories, hear from the candidates. Overall, it's a very curated talent which comes on the platform, and they engage with them. And then there are various mechanics through which they can engage. They can engage via tech talks, they can engage via contests, they can engage via hackathons, and through that you will get to a pulse about how your brand is being perceived. And then, and that is, I would say, is a precursor for any company to hire, because if there is a reasonable level of engagement and brand pull which is there, then I think a lot of candidates tend to apply that. And that's what we realized, that when we were trying to hire for companies, a lot of companies had very good story, but people were not aware about it. And we realized that it is very important that their story should go out to the candidates, and as a result of that, hiring will become far more easier, retention becomes far more easier. In fact, candidates do not just join that company for salaries. People actually go and see those employers as a far more overall holistic career opportunity there. So I think those are the things which we have started doing in the last 2 3 years, and it has given a very good traction overall for us also.
I don't know, maybe if you would totally agree to this, but social media has created a different story from hiring perspective. I see a lot of people talking. I see a lot of people talking about recession, jobs, and whatnot. Right? We'll not talk about this because I do not think it's there, because there are enough jobs available. I believe, but following up on the conversion that I said, social media aspect, right? There has been a lot of conversion around people maybe doing multiple jobs at a time, and this diversified culture. How is it meeting or not? What are your thoughts about it?
See, I think social media to a level has definitely created a lot of awareness to the people. And I think it has also brought one more culture of people being able to kind of engage virtually also. Because I
Right.
think when I said that, look, for a country like India, where physical infrastructure is not so great, and we cannot get developed by the path the way Europe or US became developed, where a lot of physical infrastructure came in. So I think the only way we can reach out to the masses is through the social media to that degree. And if people are essentially become far more comfortable engaging in social media, engaging people virtually, and are able to be far more effective, then the jobs can also be delivered far more effectively and remotely to that degree. So I would say, and it also brings its own evils also, as you rightly said, that there are people who end up doing two jobs, three jobs, and moonlighting and those kind of a thing also. So there are those, I would say, I would say the flip sides of remote working, or let's say the whole mechanics of people being very virtual overall. And then again, the other flip side which I have seen is people kind of like essentially losing in touch with the physical touch with the people overall. So that has also been a problem area which I have found, that a lot of people who are very glued onto the social media, they tend to be far more virtual, far more, I would say, not so deep. They tend to be a little bit more superficial also. So those are some of the, I would say, the minus points of social media. But I would say in general, if you see what has happened in the last 3 4 years, the in general people's engagement on social media has gone very high. People's ability to do work virtually has gone very high. So and which has, I would say, produced a reasonably good result. While there are the flip sides also, but it has produced a lot of good results also.
Again, there was, I really wanted we to speak, light up this discussion right over here over this podcast, because over the social media this jobs thing has become very cliched, right? That you're doing 9 to 5 jobs, you're not doing the right stuff. I'm not go explore your whatever it is, right? Ideas, thoughts, bring some startups. And I don't know if it is right, maybe because I have seen a couple of examples. It has ruined a couple of careers. I have seen a couple of examples in front of me because of those social media content putting out there. They are just fitting overwhelmed. Yeah, this is not something I meant to do for, right? Let's try something new. But yeah, how are your thoughts about this?
See, definitely social media does influence people. And I would always say that, what is very important for people, for any individual, is to have your influence within yourself. I think that is the core of any person. And my advice to anyone would be, look, while social media is a good place to understand and absorb the views, but you should only get influence to a certain level. One should not let go of their core thinking, core identity, because many a time what may just look so great on a social media 5 minute video clip, the reality may be something else behind it. And so I would say one has to do those level of fact checks. One has to kind of little bit have their own opinion, have their own way of thinking in. your originality should not go away, because and if you really start forming very deeper opinions and views by seeing some small video and getting influenced, then I think you are definitely in for a trouble.
Right, right. A couple of questions I have with me more, right? Maybe it's about AI, it's about impact and terms, but I really want you to speak about is there a relevance of AI in HR or recruitment? Do you see any relevance? Maybe, and I never say is replacement, right? It's not the right word to appropriate word to put in, but is there any possibility of AI taking interviews, AI, instead of resume based shortlisting, we are now doing the skill based shortlisting and communication based shortlisting based upon the AI, because now we can do it at scale with different solutions that are already present in the market. So how do you see it?
No, AI actually has a lot of use case as far as the HR is concerned, because I think what happens is, obviously it is not there to replace anyone, but I would say it will augment and make everybody very powerful. And the way to understand AI is, think about it, in 99, 2000 internet came in. And if you said, I'm not internet savvy, then you are not there. Then came the
Right,
cloud era, you are not cloud savvy. So you should know how to use that. So I would say it's not the AI is a tool, a capability which is available to anyone, and can you become far more smarter to do it. I think that is how the AI is. And AI, whether it is recruitment, HR, legal, finance, every area, I think AI is there to empower people. So obviously, within recruitment I can talk about, or in HR there are a lot of use cases with AI has, right from candidate engagement, screening, evaluation, suggesting pathways, and essentially kind of doing a lot of the mundane tasks, scheduling, tracking, a lot of those things AI can take over, which can actually ensure that people can actually focus on a lot of core activities. People can actually do a lot of more meteor stuff versus the very regular mundane stuff kind of a thing. And that is how I think AI can actually make people far more effective, and can actually make jobs to be far more accessible to pockets which were not there, or the lot of talent which was hidden. We are not able to engage with them. You just told that, mm, there's an application, there's a particular job and 10,000 people apply. How do you really like pick out those five guys which are the most deserving guys? I think AI is a way to go and do that. So a lot of those use cases which will start becoming very relevant if AI is used very effectively.
right, right. And if we talk about the innovation that can happen, what will be the next innovation that can be possible in the HR and recruitment industry? What do you see?
I would say innovation is always a journey. It is never like a one fine new morning. It is never like that. It is always a fact that we all will become better day by day. And I would say, to that degree, incrementally, if we see 3 years to 5 years from now, we will actually go and say that yes, this is the big change which AI has made. The way today, if you when UPI came in 2016, when demonetization happened, you say, okay, it's an incremental change. But today, 6 years later, you can say, wow, UPI has just changed the whole thing. It was not that the yesterday and today was very different, but incrementally, yeah, 2020 and 2024 is very different. So I
Right.
would say definitely, to that degree, AI is a journey which I think, as a country, as an industry, as a company, as an individual, we all need to embark upon. And a lot of those, I would say, changes will happen in an incremental manner, typically. And you can think about, you walk into a hotel, there'll be an AI which will assist you as far as smooth check-in is concerned. You are in the room, a AI will be there to assist you as far as how you can use the room better. You are, let's say, get into a conference, you want to go and make the best use of the conference, the AI can go and assist you a lot many a times. You go into a particular, let's say, even gym, AI can tomorrow go and assist you there, but will not replace the coach. So I would say AI in all aspects is going to be very effective.
I have a couple of more questions to ask, right? But due to a paucity of time, we have to keep it short. But at last, I really wanted you to speak about any do's and don'ts for all the job seekers in the industry who are listening to this podcast. What do's and don'ts you will share to them?
See, I would say, for a lot of the people, I would say what is most important is ki they should have their original thinking. They should be fairly grounded to that degree.
Ah,
So I
absolutely.
think the grounding, the humility, the self belief, the originality, be consistent. There are no shortcuts. I can only say that there are no shortcuts. And the most important, I would say, thing in the life is which every parent teaches its child is ki honesty is the best policy. I think there is no shortcut. Honesty is the best policy. These are some of the very simple virtues which we all have heard it so many times from our parents, from our elders. They are absolutely truly applicable, and they give phenomenal results when you come in the industry. You do not have to do anything else. You just need to keep your first principles very much on. Keep solving problems with using the first principles, and things will happen for you.
Wow, wow, it was lovely coming from you, sir, and from a leader like you. And it was my pleasure to record this podcast with you. I really enjoyed it myself as well. And to all our listeners, I hope you got some clear insights about job internship scenario in the industry. And yeah, this will make you clear. And we are coming up with lots of initiatives that will make your mind bomb buzzle. So stay connected. Thank you everyone for listening in, and thank you Anshuman sir for joining for this podcast. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Yeah.